Hello and welcome to our second Mack Weldon video. And again, it's another M57 conversion, but this time in this one, a 1987 Land Rover 110. Now with this conversion, we wanted it to look as stock and original as it could be. I mean, this is how we got the vehicle before the conversion, but we didn't want to change the look. We didn't want to do anything silly. We wanted to make it look as stealth as it could be, I suppose, in some respects. So yeah, let's take a look in the engine bay. So this M57 was, the donor vehicle for this was a BMW X5 2004. Obviously, as you can see, when we got it, the whole engine bay was completely stripped down. All the bulkhead everything was taken off the bulkhead. There were a few repairs on the bulkhead we had to do, which obviously we've done. And then it was obviously, treated, primed, Gravitex, and then obviously overcoated in the color. And then obviously all completely built back up. You can see that unlike some people, they normally have the ECU in the engine bay. We don't like to do that because obviously, to me, it's just something that should be inside an ECU. So obviously all the wiring, as you can see here, comes up, goes through onto the inside. Obviously when we go to the inside, I'll show you the other side of that. Being as it was an X5 engine, the water pipes are slightly different on that because normally they run a Webasto heater. So you only get a single outlet for the heater matrix, which obviously doesn't work for us. You can change the pipes over for like an E70 and then it'll give you both outlets. But obviously, again, we do things differently. So down there, we've got a couple of custom fabricated pipes that all loop round into there to then feed the matrix. So it's just quite a nice, neat flow. So nothing looks particularly out of place. Obviously, you can see that we've run in the AliSport radiator intercooler, which probably the only thing from the front end that gives it away that it's something different. This was custom designed to be for an M57, running the spout fan. Obviously, the fan controller is on a temperature switch in the side. We've also got the AliSport header tank. Beautiful work, can't fault it, and it has to be in there, looks great. As with all of our builds, we've got Pioneer everywhere. The Pioneer lines over there, brake lines, which you can see have now been custom made for the Mack Weldon logo on. This has also got Pioneer power steering lines on the bottom, which the braided ones down the front as well. And then on the inside, we've gone for a similar sort of thing. We wanted it to again look pretty much as it was, not really change anything in particular. Obviously, as I said, from the outside, the looms come through, and you can see that there's a panel in here now, because obviously the wiring and the ECU is all tucked under here. It's nice and neatly. So you've not completely lost the cubby. There's still a little bit of space here. And then this plate, this is a custom-made plate up here because the ECU is actually sat lengthways just under here, so it fits nicely, which is why this is slightly extended out. You're probably thinking manual. It's not. This is actually a 6-speed auto, but because of the whole thing, we want to look at stealth. That's why I've made this up completely custom. So this is an auto shifter. As you can see, we had the gear gate custom made for it. Obviously, the stick is all sort of similar angle and sort of shape and size as it would have been before with the original knob on. But as you can see, I've incorporated a trigger on the back so you can then lock it in and out of park. It still has the option to flick over to go manual mode as well. What you can't see from there is down here, the original LED panel, which shows you what gear you're in, is still down there, but set into the side of the tunnel, so you can still see what is happening. Apart from that, everything else inside looks as it did. Obviously, there's no clutch pedal anymore. We've got the TDCI throttle pedal in there, but it still looks pretty much as it would have done. And obviously, from the interior, we said it was auto. Being auto, it needs to have a oil cooler. Again, the whole stealth kind of thing. So from the engine bay, you wouldn't know it was an auto. There's nothing that gives it away. There's no cooler. There's no lines that are particularly obvious. And we want to keep that. So we had a few measurements and bits and pieces and chats back and forth with Pioneer 4x4. And eventually we came up with an oil cooler and spout fan that would fit and work exactly where I want it. And that is tucked and hidden underneath this vent. You can only just about sort of see it, but it's tucked underneath there. And that works there. And also down in the back corner here, you can just about see that that is the controller for it as well, which tells you obviously the temperature of the cooler, and then obviously set when the fan comes in. The lines for it are sort of tucked down, hidden round, and go across the bottom of the bulkhead at the bottom. And then obviously we'll see underneath where they go into the gearbox and how that's all been terminated. So let's stick it on the ramp and take a look underneath. So underneath, everything's moved around a little bit because we wanted to position the engine, gearbox, transfer box in the right place. So it's all sort of shifted back a bit, and with the adapter, which was from House of Torque, as well as the ECU and the loom, all come from House of Torque as normal. We've had to bring it back, which means we've had to shorten the rear prop, lengthen the front prop, which then makes everything sit just right. Obviously with the exhaust, it has to come over to the opposite side. So we've taken it across, but with the auto box, obviously the sump's very wide, very low, which kind of restricts the exhaust. So we've done what we've done in a few times before, which is to take the exhaust running through the cross member. So obviously custom cross member, which works quite well, keeps it neatly up out of the way, so it's not below the chassis line, it's not hanging down. It comes up and it joins on here to the original system that was on it when it was a V8, which we made previously, which does still have the silencer from the V8, which works with this one because it keeps it quieter and then sort of brings it all in with that whole stealthy thing. You can see just up here, as we said earlier about the gearbox, there's the cooler lines, which, if you can see there, join in. And obviously that joins into the lines from Pioneer. You can also see at the front, the Pioneer power steering lines, just about. And of course, this has also got, as we said earlier, the Pioneer brake line kit, which is the full kit, which runs full front to back. So obviously it's all across the rear axle as well. The engine mounts are from a Discovery 1 200 TDI. And that's what we've used on a lot of these builds. They seem to be very good mounts, very strong. There's no real failure point on them because if they did fail for some reason, they can't come out the housing. So they're very good for taking the power and all those sort of bits and pieces. On the outside of the chassis here, you'll see we've mounted the fuel pump and the filter. These are rubber lined, rubber backed. So it takes a lot of the sound out of it. So when you're in the cab, you don't really get much of that either. Anyway, that's it for this one. Obviously, it's quite a short video, but we will be uploading the photos of this so you can look at it a bit closely on the Mack Welding Facebook page. So take a look at that and you'll see some of the other bits and pieces we've been doing over the years and bits and pieces and stuff to come. I know this is another 57 and we said we'd vary the content, same because obviously the first video was 57 as well. But we will try and do some others, like there's this one that's in here at the moment, which is a 90 TDCi, which has come in for a full build. So Richards Galv chassis, you know, that's Pioneer and CR Turbos, Ali Sport, all powder coated bits and pieces. So we could do something on that. Or I've said it on the last video that we might even at some point do something on my old bus. Again, this is the one that was 408 horsepower BMW M57. We'll see. But anyway, thanks very much for watching and please like and subscribe.